Imagine a doorway, not a grand entrance to a palace or a fortress, but a modest wooden frame leading into a world that should, by all accounts, be a place of quiet rest. To the casual observer, it is merely a small business on the English coast, a sanctuary for the weary traveller, seeking a clean room and a decent meal. But those who have stepped inside know the truth is far more volatile. This is not just a building, it is a meticulously constructed pressure cooker, a fragile ecosystem where the air itself feels heavy with the scent of impending disaster. In this space, every single guest is not a customer to be served, but a potential detonator. A misplaced suitcase, a slightly overcooked kippa, or an innocent question about the time can trigger a chain reaction that threatens to tear the very walls down. It is a world where dignity is a currency in permanent inflation, and where a single man stands at center, desperately trying to hold the ceiling up, while his own ego pulls the floor out from under him. This is the strange, enduring magic of an institution that was never meant to be comfortable. As we navigate the landscape of 2026, the way we consume our history has changed. We look back at the giants of the past with a mixture of reverence and a new, sharper kind of understanding. The laughter that once echoed through living rooms across the globe now carries a different weight. We are no longer just watching a comedy. We are observing a study in human fragility. We are witnessing the slow-motion collapse of a man who believes he is destined for greatness, but who is perpetually trapped by the very mundane reality he despises. It is the story of a hotel that is less about hospitality and more about their desperate, frantic struggle to maintain a facade of respectability in the face of absolute chaos. This is the world of Fawlty Towers, a name that has become synonymous with the perfect storm of social anxiety and slapstick brilliance. It is a place where every mistake feels like a public execution and every guest feels like a personal insult. But there is something more profound happening as we revisit these corridors today. The legacy of this show has become historic, not just for the awards it won or the records it broke, but for the way it captured a specific kind of British tension that feels more relevant than ever. Behind the polished silver and the neatly tucked bedsheets lies a deeper narrative about the fear of being ordinary and the terror of losing face in front of the world. At the heart of it all is a man who turns the simple act of existing into a full-body sport. John Cleese, the mastermind and the face of this madness, was born in Weston-super-Mare in 1939. And by the time he stepped into the role of Sybil Fawlty in 1975, he was already carving out a legacy that would redefine comedy. Yet, even as we laugh at his explosive rages and his contorted apologies, there is a lingering sense of something heavier. In 2026, we see the warning wrapped in the laughter. We see that if pride is your religion, every day is destined to become a disaster. And as the doors to this tiny hotel prepare to swing open once more in our minds, we have to ask ourselves, why does it still hurt to watch in the best possible way? The answer lies not just in the script, but in the legends who became immortal within those walls and the quiet, real-world stories that were unfolding even as the cameras rolled. To understand the chaos that defines this small seaside establishment, one must first look at the man who stands at its center, a figure whose very silhouette has become a symbol of frantic, desperate energy. Sybil Fawlty is not merely a hotel manager. He is a study in the high-wire act of maintaining social status, while the world below him is in a state of constant, grinding collapse. Portrayed with a terrifying level of commitment by John Cleese, Basil is a man defined by a singular, suffocating fear, the fear of being seen as ordinary. Born on October 27, 1939, in Weston-super-Mare, Cleese was 36 years old when the world first encountered the razor-sharp tension of the hotel in 1975. At that age, he captured something universal about the middle-aged struggle for respect. Basil is a man who treats every guest as a personal insult, a living reminder that he is serving others rather than being served. His movements are a series of jagged angles and sudden bursts of speed, as if he is trying to outrun his own mounting embarrassment. This is why the show remains so gripping in 2026. We are watching a man whose fragility is so profound that even a misplaced spoon feels like a public execution. Cleese brought a physical intensity to the role that turns a simple sitcom into a full-body sport, where the stakes are nothing less than his own sanity. The atmosphere of the hotel is thick with a specific kind of British tension. a social hierarchy that Basil is constantly trying to climb, only to find the ladder is made of smoke. He is a man who worships a version of class that perhaps never truly existed, and his desperation to be respected by those he deems superior is the very thing that makes him look most ridiculous. When we watch him today, 86 years after the birth of the man who brought him to life, the performance takes on a new layer of meaning. John Cleese's career would eventually span the globe, from the surreal genius of Monty Python to the award-winning brilliance of A Fish Called Wanda, even earning an Emmy for his work on Cheers. But it is here, in the frantic hallways of a hotel in Torquay, that his legacy is most deeply rooted. Basil feels like a warning wrapped in laughter, a reminder that if pride becomes your religion, every single day is destined to become a disaster. The show's historic status was solidified early on, with multiple BAFTA TV awards and a specific win for Cleese for Best Entertainment Performance. But beyond the trophies, what makes Basil immortal is the human truth underneath the farce. We laugh because we recognize that terror of losing face, that frantic need to stay above the water even as panic drags us back down. But if Basil is the engine of the hotel's chaos, the person who truly holds the keys to the kingdom is his wife, Sybil Fawlty. While Basil is a whirlwind of visible panic, Sybil is a masterclass in controlled surgical efficiency. Portrayed by the legendary Prunella Scales, she was born on June 22, 1932 in Sutton, Abingdon, and was 43 when the series began. Sybil does not need to shout to dominate a room, she simply needs to aim. With a single word, a sharp look, or a practiced sigh, she can cause Basil's entire defense system to collapse like a man caught stealing his own dignity. Scales played the role with an exhausted intelligence that suggests she has been managing this madness for so long that she has learned that cruelty is sometimes the only way to maintain order. In the world of the hotel, she is the grounded reality that keeps the building from floating away into pure absurdity. She understands the business, she understands the guests, and most importantly, she understands exactly how to puncture Basil's ego whenever it grows too large for the room. Off the screen, the story of Prunella Scales transitioned from comedy into a narrative of deep public admiration and quiet courage. For many years, she became widely respected for speaking openly about her life with dementia, sharing her journey alongside her husband, Timothy West. This openness transformed her in the eyes of the public from a sharp-tongued sitcom icon into a symbol of resilience and grace. In 2026, as we look back at the legacy of the show, her story carries a particular weight that changes the way we hear her laughter. She passed away on October 27, 2025, at the age of 93, leaving behind a void in the British acting community that few could fill. However, there is one detail from her final days that has stayed with fans, a moment that feels almost poetic in its tenderness. It was reported at the time of her passing that she had been watching her own work in the hotel the day before she died. For a woman who had spent so much of her life giving the world the gift of laughter, to return to those moments at the very end feels like a full circle. In 2026, the rewatches land differently. The jokes still cut with the same precision, but now they carry the unmistakable ache of a final goodbye. The dynamic between Basil and Sybil is the heartbeat of the show. A constant push and pull between manic ambition and cynical realism. It is a partnership built on a foundation of shared history and a mutual understanding of their own limitations, even if Basil refuses to admit them. They are two people trapped in a world they both, in their own ways, feel they are too good for, and yet they are the only ones who truly know how to navigate the specific brand of insanity they have created. As we move deeper into the corridors of this hotel, we begin to see that it isn't just the owners who define the atmosphere. The staff, the regulars, and the strangers who walk through those doors all play a part in the delicate balance of the farce. But the foundation is set by the two people whose names are on the lease, a man trying to be a king in a world of kippers, and a woman who knows exactly how to stop him. The tension is rising, the guests are arriving, and the first signs of a true collapse are starting to show through the cracks in the wallpaper. While the storm of the hotel is anchored by the chaotic marriage at its helm, the true heart of the farce, the element that transforms a series of awkward encounters into a legendary comedy of errors, resides in the figures who populate the background. Specifically the one man who seems to be the lightning rod for every bolt of Basil's fury. Manuel, the well-meaning waiter from Barcelona, represents something far deeper than a simple punchline. Portrayed by Andrew Sachs, who was born in Berlin in 1930 and was 45 when the series began, Manuel is the ultimate outsider. He is a man trapped between the limitations of a new language and the limitless, often nonsensical rage of his employer. In the world of the hotel, Manuel is the collateral damage of Basil's ambition. He isn't funny because he lacks intelligence, he is funny because he is staggeringly earnest. He is the only person in the building who truly tries, with every fibre of his being, to do exactly what is asked of him. The tragedy, and the comedy, lies in the fact that the more he tries to stabilize the world around him, the more the world seems to punish him for his efforts. Sachs brought a rare kind of humanity to the slapstick, playing Manuel with wide-eyed loyalty and a sudden heartbreaking panic that resonates with audiences even more deeply in 2026. When we watch Manuel today, we aren't just seeing a waiter who doesn't understand the word ham. We are seeing a human being who remains hopeful that today might finally be the day that calm descends upon the corridors, even though we, the audience, know that such a day will never come. This childlike hope is what makes the character quietly painful to revisit. He is the perpetual scapegoat, the man who is blamed for disasters he didn't create. Yet he remains at his post, an unwavering soldier in a war he doesn't fully understand. His performance is a time capsule of a specific era of comedy, one that would never be written the same way again, yet it remains intensely human. Andrew Sachs' own story eventually took a bittersweet turn, as he passed away in 2016 after a struggle with vascular dementia. In 2026, knowing the gentle man behind the frantic waiter adds a layer of tenderness to every quee and every stumble. His humanity is the reason the laughs haven't died. He was the soul of the hotel, the one person who cared when no one else did. If Manuel is the heart of the hotel, then Major Gowan is its ghost. Portrayed by Ballard Berkeley, who was born in 1904 and was already 71 when he first donned the Major's tweed jacket, the character is a drifting remnant of a bygone era. The Major is the guest Basil thinks he wants, a man of status, history, and perceived class, until the reality of the Major's presence becomes another weight on the hotel's crumbling infrastructure. Berkeley played the Major with a wide-eyed confusion and an endearing warmth that made his rambling war stories and misplaced confidence impossible to ignore. He isn't just a guest. He is a living prop of nostalgia, a man who seems to be haunting the building while he is still alive. His comedy is uncomfortable on purpose, built on outdated views and a cheery certainty that the world hasn't changed since the height of the empire. In 2026, the Major remains a vital reminder of what the show did so effectively. It made comedy out of social tension without pretending the tension wasn't real. He represents the class obsession that drives Basil to the brink of insanity. To Basil, the Major is a symbol of the respectability he craves, but to the rest of the world, the Major is just an old man who won't stop talking. Berkeley's performance adds a distinctly British layer to the atmosphere, suggesting that the building itself is haunted by a history it can't quite escape. He died in 1988, but his presence in the hotel feels permanent, a fixed point in the revolving door of guests. Together, Manuel and the Major represent the two poles of the hotel's reality, the frantic struggle of the present and the fading echo of the past. This is where the essence of the report truly reveals itself. The hotel isn't just a setting for jokes. It is a microcosm of a society trying to reconcile its delusions of grandeur with the messy, unpredictable reality of human life. Why is it important that we still talk about these characters in 2026? Because they remind us that the most enduring stories are the ones that find the truth inside the chaos. The essence of the hotel's enduring appeal is that it captures the universal struggle to be understood and to be respected, even when we are at our most ridiculous. Whether it's Manuel trying to learn a language or the Major trying to remember a war, they are all just searching for a sense of belonging in a place that is fundamentally broken. When the doors finally closed, these characters didn't just disappear into the archives of television history. They became part of our collective understanding of what it means to be human in a world that often feels like a poorly managed hotel. The tension is the point, and the laughter is the only thing that makes the pressure bearable. As we look at the legacy of those who walked these halls, we begin to see that the story of the hotel is actually the story of us. Fragile, desperate, and endlessly funny in our attempts to keep the walls from falling down.